Whether you're thinking about making a table or a full-blown barbecue kitchen studio like the one coming together behind me, today's video is for you. I'm going to share some learnings along the way and things to avoid to help you of repeating some of the same mistakes. Let's get started. Hey, I'm James from Smoking Dead Barbecue, and I am so excited in a couple weeks to be able to show you the finished project here coming together. It's nearly done. Just need a couple more pieces that we're missing to come in, and we will be able to move our Joes into their new home under our latest build of a grill studio. But having done many tables myself into this experience, learned a lot through trial and error. And so I just want to go ahead and share my learnings, everything from a simple table to a grill studio space like this, that if you have one of these projects in mind, maybe it saves you from making some of those same mistakes. So let's get started with a table. So the very first table that I built was using some plans I found online for free on how to build an outdoor kitchen table for my big green egg at the time. Now, if you're on the fence of doing this, should you build one or not, this is a great plan to get started, as you need next to no construction skill whatsoever to put this together. And it was, for me, one of the first tables that I built. And so this was a great project for learning not just how to build a table, but also to add functional space to your outdoor grill area. Now, versus the cart, which sometimes has side shelves, etc., you just gain a lot more space with a table. You have storage that you can put your accessories, keep them out of the garage, have everything more accessible, and you can personalize it, just make it yours. And so the very first one that I built using this plan was made out of cedar. And so I just want to go through and share some of the advantages of this simple table setup, as well as some of the disadvantages and why I later started to evolve through each different build that I'll share later on in the video. So in terms of some of the advantages of cedar, is obviously it's very easy to put together, and some of the disadvantages of cedar is just how it goes from looking like $1,000,000 when it's brand new to, especially with your cooking and grilling, the amount of sort of black and soot that gets stuck on it. The other thing I found with this table design is it weathered very poorly. So when you have the slat style boards on the top, moisture, and where I am we get winter, tough ice and cold weather, it would cause those boards to lift and separate. And so this table went from looking really good when I first built it to looking like it had been through the end of a zombie apocalypse or something like that within about 2 years time. Now, nothing wrong with the overall design. I would say my key learnings for this type of table is, first, make sure that you have built-in like a patio stone or something like that you're going to sit your Kamado on, as well as an air gap. It is not okay just to put that stone right onto the wood itself without an air gap, because that heat transfer, especially doing high heat cooks, can start a fire directly under that. So I just want to go ahead and point to that really important safety tip, is make sure that you always have an air gap no matter what your design. The other thing that you want to have is a place to put hot accessories. One of the disadvantages of wood is you can't take anything hot out of the grill and place it there. So my solution for this was to go and get a porcelain tile and set it on top of the table, and a second one just underneath in the storage area, so that if I had some hot ceramic components or a pizza stone or anything like that, that I had a place to put things. So version 2 of the table, I again built everything out of wood, but I wanted to go ahead and add a second Kamado. And so this setup here, I have a large big green egg, which is the same size as Kamado Joe Classic 18-inch grid, as well as a big green egg Minimax, which is... So in this table here, I had a large big green egg, which is the same size as a Kamado Joe Classic, as well as a big green egg Minimax, which is the same size as the Joe Junior. And so that was the catalyst for building a new table here, is one that could accommodate 2 grills. And so I wanted to start building it to be a little bit more robust than the previous table. Like I mentioned, that cedar started to get a little wobbly. Some of the joints are just, sort of butt joint to one another and screwed together, which over time with that moisture and separation, etc., started to cause the table to lose what felt like its original integrity. So goals for going into project number 2 here was to not only add more space, but add a little bit more structure. So I went with thicker 2x4s and 4x4s, I think, in a few spots in order to increase the structural rigidity, as well as making a much larger table where I could fit both Kamado grills. Same as before, I went with adding an area underneath of each table where I could have a ceramic tile as well as the air gap, using an extended sort of nest razor in order to make sure that air could get underneath here. But on a grill like the Minimax, it doesn't have as much storage as, for example, the Kamado Joe Jr. or air gap as the Kamado Joe Jr. and its cart does, and it sits really close to that heat. And as you can see from this little clip here, even with that ceramic tile which exploded, the heat was getting through and almost caused this table to catch on fire. So again, big reason to make sure that you have an appropriate air gap, especially if you're building with a wood table. For the tabletop, what I ended up doing is just getting a bunch of boards run through a joiner so they were nice square edges, and I used a biscuit joiner to join them all together, glued and screwed sort of all the boards to make a big countertop, and then cut our circles out and then stained that. So I stained it for a few reasons. One, to help protect it, to try and prevent the weather, from getting down into those boards, as well as just based off of our last table where it ended up getting very dirty and looking dark colored. I was hoping by going with a dark brown stain that it would just hide some of that. So how did version 2 work out after a few seasons? Well, a lot like the first, even with the joining the boards and biscuit joining them and gluing them, weather has a thing of just causing these things to separate. And so you'd start to be cooking or maybe outside one day and you'd hear a loud pop or a crack, and those boards started to separate. The stain, even though that dark color is something that would help mask some of those, that charcoal, dirt, and grime, still ended up looking rather disgusting after, a little bit of use. And as I already mentioned before, the air gap situation was not large enough, particularly with the Minimax, in order to prevent some of that charring of the table itself. So this is the last time that I had big green eggs at home. They now sit with a family member. Let's move on to table version 3. I can show you some of the improvements and upgrades that we made there before we get to this project. So version 3 here, we're going for a couple things. So I wanted to switch to 2 of the same size Kamado. So I built this table for my Classic 3, as well as made space for a second Classic 3 that I wanted to add to the arsenal. So shown here, it's with both Classic 3s installed, and that's so I could use the same accessories interchangeably. That's one of the things when you get 2 different size Kamados, whether it's a large size and a really small size, maybe for midweek cooks or something like that, is very few of the accessories are interchangeable. And I was finding I was buying the same type of accessory in multiple different sizes, and so the game plan here was to go with 2 identical size grills so I could use 1 set of accessories between 2 of them and maybe do different cooks on each size. But enough about the table, or sorry, the size selection. Let's get back to the table design principles. So for this one, I still wanted to get to the bottom of the having something feel really rigid. So on my last table, so the 2 big green egg table, I still ended up doing sort of butt joints versus any overlap, joinery. And I was using some pocket hole screws to tie those in even tighter. But once again, weather started to cause these to get a little creaky and shaky with some movement after just a season or 2. So for this table, I went with full overlaid lap joints, as well as 4x4s for all of my kind of main weight supporting posts, with 2x4s running horizontally. And so this thing was built like Fort Knox. It was more than sufficient to be able to hold the weight of our 2 Kamado Joes. And I never, and before we started this project, had a problem with anything moving. And so I just made lap joints using a miter saw, so we would measure out where we wanted to cut, chip away those little pieces, drop in our 2x4, and then we could glue and screw everything. So if you are thinking about something and you want it to be really, really rigid, I would definitely check out the video that I've got, and I posted the plans on how to make this table. If you can't find those, go ahead and email me and I'll be happy to send you the little sketch diagram that I used to build it. But the key ingredients here were really just going with larger pieces of wood and relying on lap joints for really, really secure connections. that was the table part. The other thing that I was learning over time is just getting more storage. And so this table, I added a few new things in terms of adding a larger storage area in the middle so you could take advantage or hold accessories. So things like the dojo or rotisserie are large size circles, and my previous table designs didn't have enough space to hold those things. And so this table, I made sure that I gave myself an appropriate size centerpiece that could hold all of those things together. Plus, I also went and added a pull-out shelf, which even though there was more workspace here, it turned out to be killer because very quickly, again, if you're bringing out things and you need a spot to set something and maybe you've got some other hot accessories up on the table itself, space is always at a premium. And so this little sliding shelf was a lifesaver more than once when trying to, get cooking, especially maybe using both grills at the exact same time. Now, the other innovation that I wanted to try and bring to this table is changing the tabletop surface. So the two that I built for myself, as well as helping one with a friend, had all been cedar and all had the same issue. And so this time we were looking at either going with a granite type countertop or concrete. And so I chose to make my own concrete table, just because I was curious and wanting to tackle that to see how difficult that project would be and could make something truly your own, as well as just cost. It was only a couple bags of Quickcrete from Home Depot, and I was able to make this table with some melamine boards and a little bit of rebar in no time, and it was a lot of fun to do that. The other advantage of the concrete is don't need to worry about anything. You could take your hot divide and conquer right out of the grill, set it down. If I was done with the dojo, for example, after cooking pizza 700 degrees, could take it out, set it right on the table, let it cool, and then go ahead and shut down my joes. And so I absolutely love the flexibility of concrete. Plus, when things got dirty and grimy, just like all the other tables, it would wipe clean with a cleaning product much better than anything else that I'd ever used at that point. So this really solved a lot of problems to the point where you might be saying, why change from version 3? It seems like it's addressed all of the pain points. And it did. The only thing that sort of led to that decision is one, when Kamado Joe sent me a Big Joe 3 last year to review for the channel, I wanted to add this to the table, and I did not build those posts large enough to be able to modify the existing table to get it to fit. And the overhead storage space that I had was good at helping protect the grills from most weather, but if there was ever any snow or rain, I was getting soaked every single time. And as you guys want to see some more videos, and I like to keep sharing some of these tips and tricks and best practices with you, weather would rule out our ability to make those almost every time it was convenient for me to record on the weekend. And so that's what's led to Grill Studio thinking. Let me tell you a little bit more about what you can expect to see in this when it's all done. So if you're thinking of making a proper, outdoor kitchen space, let me tell you what the thinking was going into this, and I'll share a bit more in the complete reveal video in a couple weeks time. So the very first thing is just more weather protection. And so as you can see, rather than just having that 3-foot little awning over the grill, we now have a complete structure that is covering the space, in particular where I need to be able to work at and get at the grills, as well as a dedicated prep area. This is the first time that I've had a dedicated prep area outside, and I think it's going to make it so much easier for going from trimming, seasoning, and preparing things like brisket to getting right on our grill and doing some other, cooks alongside. So I'm really excited to have that. The next thing that this solves is lighting. And so this is something that most people overlook, but low voltage lighting or anything like that makes a ton of difference when you're trying to fire up your grill or maintain a cook overnight. And so both my previous table as well as this table, we've had low voltage lighting, which will provide a little bit of light down into your grill. It's not overpowering and looks like the sun coming up in your backyard in the middle of the night, but it does give you nice and sort of warm light that you can see what's going on. So I would definitely recommend, having some lighting. And then for the table design itself, this one was going to be a little bit above my pay grade in woodworking skill. I wanted to add some more cabinets and things like that that would hold up and stand the test of time. As even on my last version, that front door latch started to warp and bend and wasn't really holding true. And so this table is designed by a company named Nature Cast, and they make tables specifically for Kamados and Big Green Eggs. And so I reached out to them to see if they could help put together a custom design. And so what we're going to have is space here for Big Joe, Classic Joe, and then a little table over there to sit our Joe Jr. on, and a complete workspace here. And when there's not a ladder and a bunch of construction materials on the ground that you can't see blocking these cabinet doors, I'll show you a little bit about the hidden drawers and tips and tricks that went into some of the layout that you can expect to see in Grill Studio, hopefully version 1 and last one for many, many years to come. So that's it for today's video. Quick recap is most important, air gap. Think about that. Second biggest learning I would say over the years is think about your structural integrity, things that'll stand up to weather. So whether that's joints or the thickness of the boards themselves can really help make sure that your structure stays good and intact for years to come. And that third key learning is giving yourself a tabletop surface that can withstand hot accessories and Mother Nature itself. And if you're getting into the full-blown kitchen, I'll have more to share if that is in your budget or plans for the year or the next year to come when I do the full review. That's it for today's video though. Hope you really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks time when it's time to show the finished Grill Studio. Until then, don't be afraid, fire it up.